When you hear finance, do you think, ugh, this is complicated or too hard to understand? Why does one of the most important things in life, like money, seem so confusing? We're about to clear that up right now. Now stick with me because I'm gonna share with you how simple it can really be. All right, so first and foremost, why is it so hard to understand? You know why? Because a bunch of nerds teach it. That's why. You know, those nerds, you remember them from school, right? Those nerds that were like, they would try to teach you a concept saying, oh, it's easy, it's just X equals T, I can't even say it, right? They would just go on this rant and you just glaze over. You have no clue what they're even saying because they're using all these different terminologies and stuff. And it's like they're speaking a whole nother language. They might as well be speaking Spanish because Spanish is easier to understand than nerd-ish, whatever that language is, right? It's just crazy. Now, granted, I was a nerd in school too, okay? That was me. You know, I was the kid that was way too short. I didn't grow 6 inches until between my junior and senior year. I was a short little kid and I was smart. I loved books. I was an introvert. And starting in 6th grade, I got the crap beat out of me. Okay, so I got bullied big time. You know, it's sad, but it taught me a lot because those same bullies, even though I was trying to be friends with them, they would beat me up because they thought it was fun. They thought it was funny, right? But then they would also ask for me to give them answers on their homework. They're like, hey, Chris. It's kind of like Napoleon Dynamite. It's like, hey, Napoleon, give me some of your tots, man. Oh, gosh, idiot. You know, it was like that. They were asking me for my homework assignments. You know, they were wanting me to give them all the answers. Well, you know what? I eventually got tired of it because I'm like, wait, these guys are picking on me part of the day. And then the other part of the day, they want me to help them? Screw that. Like, so you know what I did? Now, at first I was tempted just to give them the wrong answers, but I'm just not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy just to lie to people and try to make their lives miserable. So I did the opposite. I decided I was gonna be nice, but I decided to be nice and teach it. I decided to teach it to them, but I tried to speak in terminology that I knew they would get because these guys were doing sports like I eventually started to do to try to get them to like me. I joined sports just so you know, so I stopped getting bullied. And so these guys were in sports. They didn't want to hear all this technical jargon, so I'd teach it in just dumb language. I try to sound as dumb, like 2nd grade language, even when I was in 7th grade, as possible so they get it. Guys, I made a whole habit of this. Heck, even when I went to Japan and I was teaching people, a lot of times I'd have to teach them very simple concepts, and plus my Japanese wasn't like amazing. I was fluent, but even my Japanese was simple. I had to simplify things in my mind to get it out to communicate. That's why. So most nerds, they hang out with other nerds, right? They do that and they talk to each other in their nerdish language, and then they try to teach it to you, and then you just glaze over. So that's why. Now, number 2, sometimes even the nerds don't get it. Sometimes they're just talking because they're just trying to come up with little theories, but they don't fully understand it. Maybe they heard from somebody, some other nerd, but they haven't quite integrated it into their life. They don't really understand it fully, so they can do it. I love Leonardo da Vinci's quote. He says, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. I love that. I love that mantra because if you understand something, you can generally explain it pretty simply. But sometimes even the nerds don't get it. It's kind of like, you remember Dewey from School of Rock? Like one of the best movies ever, right? And Dewey, you know, he was going to his teachers, he's sitting in the teacher lounge, he's saying like, so those that can't do, teach. And those that can't teach PE, am I right? You know, he's talking to the PE teacher, he's like, yeah, that's true. You know, sometimes these guys can't teach it. They don't get it, they don't understand it, and they can't teach it to you either. Third, nerds sometimes just create complicated systems and avoid common sense. They think that somehow, like I said, they don't want that ultimate sophistication. They don't want simplicity. They think if they create it more complicated, somehow that makes it seem more brilliant. I see this all the time in the financial world. One, because they do hang out and talk to each other, so they talk in their own language. It's like, you know, that's what they sound like, right? You know, zeros, ones, whatever. I don't know that zeros and ones was the language, but it is now. Besides computer language, it's now a nerd language for financial people. But sometimes they try to create these overly complicated systems, don't they? For example, I knew a guy that actually I used to work with, and I remember he sent out this email. He says, all right, here's how you get to this little number. And it's kind of like his own little financial freedom number, but he didn't even call it that. I can't remember the term for it, but it was like this long term. It was like 3 or 4 words for this special number. And he said, all right, so you're gonna take this number, you're gonna add up your fixed expenses. Then you're also gonna add up your variable expenses. And then you're gonna add up your other expenses. And then you're gonna add up your vacation expenses. And then you're gonna take your income, and you're gonna take this, and you're gonna combine it all together. And when you do this, you divide it by this number. And if it's greater than 1, you're wealthy. If it's less than 1, you're in trouble. You need to keep working at it. And I was like, okay, he just spent several paragraphs teaching me this concept, but he could have just said, if you're spending more money than you're making, fix it. So make more money than you spend, live within your means. Easy. Income bigger than expenses. Yay, boo, yay, boo. He could have just said that. No, he had to make this complicated formula for saying, are you living within your means? Is your income, the money coming in, bigger than what you're spending? Duh, that's common sense. Hello. But no, he had to make it seem all fancy and special, and it sucks. And that's the thing, is that guys, when it comes to us, right, us average people, and again, I'm a nerd, right? There's no doubt my wife will call me a nerd all the time. Okay, I am a nerd. I have a bad sense of humor. I have horrible dad jokes. Trust me, I'm a nerd too. But for the rest of us people, we think it's complex and then we get scared of these numbers, don't we? We think that money has to be hard and we get scared. And automatically, just for that belief alone, here's what happens. You generally don't pick it up. You know, I learned this when I started to learn how to dance. Believe it or not, I actually used to be one of the nation's top amateur ballroom dancers. I even danced on the world championship dance team. Now, it wasn't always that way. When I first learned dancing, it was hard. In fact, it was so bad that girls would try to skip me in line so they would go dance to the guy next to me, right? It was that bad. Not just because the guy was cuter, although that might have been true, but it was because they knew I couldn't lead. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was starting to pick it up, but I thought it was fun. But it was after a few months, there was something that clicked, right? I started to realize when someone said, hey, just do this. It's like this pace. I'm like, okay, I'm getting it. Little by little, I'm getting it. The real turn for me was the next semester. I took a second semester class. I was not confident at all, but I started to practice for a competition that we had. And when I practiced for that competition, guess what? I ended up getting 4th place in that competition. And I thought, holy cow, I could do this. When I started to believe that, I tell you, and this is something I promise for you as well when it comes to money, my ability to learn dancing drastically, exponentially increased. I got it faster and better than ever because I believed I could get it. Some of you just automatically believe because of past experience that money is just too hard to understand and you won't get it. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. In fact, if you have some common sense, just life common sense, the more common sense you have, the better you're gonna do when it comes to actually understanding money. It's the people that actually have learned too much, that have got the nerd language down too much, those are the people that have a hard time learning how to do money right. That's the ironic thing. That's the thing, is that those that can't do will teach, and those that can't teach will teach PE, right? So it's the same thing here. You have to start believing in your head first that you can understand this. Don't be scared of numbers. Don't say, I'm not a numbers person, I'm more artistic, I'm more right brain than left brain. It doesn't matter. Right brain people can understand money because you can be creative with it and create a lot of it. In fact, you could even become more wealthy than the person that's just left brained, where they're just logical. You understand that? So that's what I mean. This is how simple it can be. Like I just said, here's the key for anything financially, to be financially literate. 1, you got to know how to track your money. You got to know how much money's coming in, how much is going out. Control your expenses. Don't be cheap. You can still enjoy life, but control your expenses. 2, when it comes to debt, understand that debt is not good or bad. It just depends on whether you're good or bad with debt. Debt is not good or evil. It more is up to us and how we use it. Can you understand how to use it simply? And trust me, the more education you get, the better you can use debt to your advantage, or it can hurt you. So you want to make sure if you use it, manage it, use it wisely. And then 3rd, the real key to freedom is not saving up this massively huge bank account, putting your money in a bunch of mutual funds where the financial advisors make it seem like it's complex and you should just trust them because your brain is just too tiny for this. You lack the time, the training, the temperament to understand the stuff, so just let us do it. Don't buy that crap. The truth is that financial advisors aren't financially free either. The people that are financially free understand that passive income is what leads to freedom. Having income coming in each and every month, whether you work or not, is the key to freedom. Big savings account, that's nice. A big account, it doesn't matter if you're in the stock markets, those people don't come financially free. It's those that figure out how to turn it into passive income. So guys, if you want to learn how to do that, check out the next video, how to make $5,000 a month in passive income right now, to learn how to do that for yourself.